Mark Stewart.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I'm pleased to be speaking on this bill which introduces the powers required to reform business rates. The government is committed to a fairer business rate system that protects the high street and supports investment, and I welcome that in the budget the Chancellor set out her intention to permanently lower rates for retail, hospitality and leisure properties. They make up the backbone of our high street, including Queen Street in Morley, in my constituency. And of course this will be paid for with a higher multiplier for the most valuable properties. Today, however, I'd like to focus on another aspect of the bill. As a teacher, I'm going to talk about the provision in the bill that removes the charitable relief on business rates for many, but not all, private schools. This, of course, runs alongside our general election commitment to introduce VAT on private school fees, which we will be discussing in the Finance Bill second reading on Wednesday. Both measures, of course, though, will increase funding for state schools. Now, during that election campaign in July, and in the years up to it, I spoke with many parents in my constituency about the removal of tax breaks for private schools. Whatever their stance on the policy was, it was clear to me that every single parent I spoke to wanted the best for their children. It didn't matter whether they considered themselves wealthy or not. It didn't matter if they earned enough to send their children to private school or not. It didn't matter whether they lived in New Farnley or Thorpe. It really didn't matter because every single one of them wanted the best education for their children. And like I suspect almost every member of this House, I want an amazing education for every child, irrespective of where they come from or who they are. And that's exactly what this government and we are committed to delivering, using the revenue that this bill and the Finance Bill on Wednesday will raise. We live in a country where 94% of all children attend state schools. I fully accept that the 6% of children who go to private schools, their parents have worked very hard to put them there. But you know who else works hard? The parents of kids who go to state schools. They work just as hard in their jobs and professions, and yet some may never be in the financial position to send their children to private schools. Those children deserve the best too. And so it falls on this government to take the decisions necessary to improve our state schools. State schools have been plagued by so many crises under the previous government. The SEND crisis, the concrete crisis, the recruitment and retention crisis, I saw it myself. In my previous job as head of maths at an inner city school, I could put out a job advert and I'd be lucky if I got one applicant per position. And that's not just because of me. This must change, and we must raise the money to change it. Taken together with our commitment to introduce VAT on private school fees, which I accept we're not debating today, the extra net revenue raised from this will be essential to recruit the 6,500 new teachers that we promised the electorate at the general election we would recruit. Every child deserves to be taught by a qualified teacher in every single subject. Now, alongside our commitments to roll out free breakfast clubs, to invest in SEND provision, to rebuild the school estate and increase per pupil funding in real terms, we are choosing to back our children, back our schools and back our country. And given the crisis in SEND, I do also welcome that those in private schools mainly concerned with the provision of education to children with EHCPs, that's Education, Health and Care Plans, will retain their charitable business rates relief. By removing the tax breaks enjoyed by most private schools, however, we can invest in our state schools. I'll be able to say to those parents I spoke to in Leeds South West and Morley that we are giving them, their children, the education they deserve. I'll be able to say that we did take the decisive action to break down opportunities for all. And by voting for this bill and the measures in the Finance Bill, I will be able to say to them that we found the funding to fund our state schools properly. Now, I do know the members opposite are opposed to these changes. However, the Leader of the Opposition has also stated that she does not object to the positive parts of the budget, including our investment in education. So my question to them would be, how are you going to pay for them? What exactly is your plan? We know what you oppose, but what do you support? I think the Conservatives have made something like £12 million of uncosted commitments every single hour since they've elected their new leader. It's hard not to conclude that we are dealing with the same old Conservative Party. It is no longer a serious party of government. However, Labour is. Education is central to our mission of expanding opportunity, enriching our society, and empowering our students to be the best possible versions of themselves. Whether they live in Cherwell, Gildersham, East Ardsley, Lofthouse, it doesn't matter. This Labour government is getting on with our mandate of delivering change and ensuring that all of our children have the opportunity to fulfil their true potential.